Oh, culture swap.
Swap my culture.
Here we go. Blankets. Craig Thompson. Autobiographical. Warning. Trigger warning. Sensitive listeners might like to know that we will be discussing sensitive topics such as religion and sexual abuse. So if you don't want to hear us probably talking quite insensitively about such things, or you just don't want blankets spoiled, maybe stop listening.
Yeah, I mean, that's not, the primary focus, I think, of this culture swap, but those topics will come up.
Yeah. I just don't want to, trigger anyone.
Oh, no, it was a good decision, Liam.
Thank you. So, yeah, Craig Thompson. He had a life, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, so let's preface this with the fact that I went into this thinking I was going to hate this graphic novel.
I'm a bit annoyed that you haven't hated it, in all honesty.
That's fine. Yeah, because, I mean, I'm not particularly a fan of autobiographical stuff.
And I think,
or at least I didn't think I was.
Don't forget, Amanda recommended this specifically, so she recommended 2 things, didn't she?
Yeah.
And the first one was that Black Hole, which she thought would be more up your street.
Yep.
And then she recommended this, which she thought would be more up my street. And I'm a bit annoyed that...
they were both up my street?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy about that, because it was a pleasant surprise.
For you, yeah. But I'm just saying, I found it a little bit annoying.
Because you wanted me to hate it.
Yeah, I thought it'd be hilarious if you hated it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, Liam. I didn't though. So, do you
want to
tell the listeners what this was about?
It was about Craig Thompson's life.
Yeah, but I mean, sort of maybe a little bit more detailed than that.
I mean, the thing is, it spans quite a large chunk of his life. How detailed do you want me to get?
So I think the main focus of it is the high school age Craig Thompson.
Yeah, with kind of little dips into his childhood.
Yeah, like the first few chapters, at least, are setting up his childhood.
Yeah.
Then you get the sort of shift to high school.
Yeah.
And then with flashbacks to his childhood again.
Yes. It's an interesting one, Jack, because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And the coming of age aspects and the romantic stuff, all of that I really, really enjoyed. But I don't have a lot to actually say about it, and I don't know. That's not because it wasn't good or anything. It's just, I guess when I was reading it, because it feels so personal and stuff, I wasn't I was just enjoying it. I wasn't kind of really stopping and dwelling on any of it.
Yeah, okay, well, that makes sense. But also, so surely that is something to talk about then, is what was it about it that you were enjoying that made you feel that way?
I liked the art, and I liked how he depicted that, awkward first relationship.
Yeah, I mean, the art in this is fucking incredible. When I first opened it, I was like, I don't know if I'm particularly going to like this, but it's amazing, his artwork.
What made you think you might not like it?
I don't know. There's something about, I like that sort of style, because it's a sort of, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost a simple style, but not really. There's a lot of detail hidden in it.
Minimalistic.
Yeah, minimalistic. That's a good way of saying it, Liam. And I love that for, webcomics and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's always good for. And I was a bit this is a hugely long graphic novel. So this is a 500 and something page graphic novel.
Yeah.
Which is, a daunting amount to be I'm going to be reading this.
So I have the physical book, and it's a big old chunky doorstop.
Yeah. So I was I don't know. When I first saw it, I was I don't know if I'm going to enjoy reading it if it's all like this. But it turns out that, for me, the way that the art style worked, the way he, flips between reality and his, daydreams.
Yeah.
This art style lends itself so well to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Some of my favourite pages in this are when it's, him in the real world, and then there's a panel of, a few things sort of changing and becoming a bit more, whimsical, and then, a full-page spread of just this amazingly drawn, Raina spread out on the bed, and, just all these patterns swirling around her. And it's, a really cool way of him showing the real drawing, and then what he was feeling, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen someone do that in a graphic novel particularly.
Yeah,
I thought it was really well done, capturing the feeling of it.
Yeah,
in
that's
those
a
drawings.
good way of putting his art style. It is a very it's a really good way of kind of expressing himself, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't have a particularly religious upbringing,
Yeah.
but I know that you did. So
I didn't. This is not. I wish you'd stop saying that, because I didn't. I think your idea of a religious upbringing is at least marred by the fact that you consume a lot of American media.
Yeah, so no, like, so I imagine you had like a cubby hole that you had to go to when you were naughty.
No, I didn't.
No?
Nope. I went to church.
you-
I went to church once a week, Liam.
See, that's too much.
I went once a week, and we had Sunday school, so that's
Yeah.
where the kids just basically hung out, and you got a sort of lesson about Jesus or whatever. And then you went into church for about half an hour, and then afterwards you hung out with all your mates, went down to the local corner shop, bought a bunch of sweets and drinks, and
like, what
whatever.
ages did you do this between?
I mean, I was probably going there since, I think, so my whole life up till the age of 15, maybe, I stopped.
So that's a lot of religion, I'd say. Like, that's a whole extra day of
No,
religion.
it is. But when
every week.
when you say someone's had a religious upbringing, right?
Yeah.
That immediately brings to mind the sort of American evangelical style of that, which is a lot like, so the religious group that I was part of, like the Protestant Christians.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all. Like, it's not.
Did you have to
as
pray
strict.
before, like, eating? Like, dinner?
No, my family, in my parents' house, we didn't do grace particularly. When I go and see my nan and granddad,
Yeah.
they say grace before meals.
Okay.
That's only for dinner, really, like the big meal.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Do you have... How many crucifixes are in your house?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay. But, like, growing up?
I don't think we had any.
Okay. Did you have your own Bible?
I probably owned Bibles. I think there's probably maybe one that I ever opened.
Okay.
Because you get like when you do. So there's you don't know a whole lot about Christianity, I'm assuming.
No. No, not at all.
You get given a bunch of shit when you get baptized.
Yeah.
Like, and that's when you're a baby. But
I've been
you know-
baptised.
well, look at you. You've probably got some Bibles at your house then.
No, I don't.
I mean, you probably do. Not in your house. Your mum probably has some somewhere. That
No, she's not
given to
religious.
Why did you get baptized?
I honestly don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just like because she was quite young. If it was just something she thought she had to do, sort of thing.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I'm doing it because this is something that I deeply believe in.
Yeah, got you. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like at baptism, people give presents and stuff, and those presents tend to be sort of religious-y.
Yeah.
So, I probably got a kid's Bible then or something.
Yeah.
That's probably sitting on a shelf somewhere. And then there's a thing called confirmation, which is effectively like, I think it's about 13. You get these sort of special lessons in Sunday school where they teach you what you need to know about Christianity. And then you basically go and they say, do you believe in God? And do you accept Jesus Christ and all that stuff? And you go, yep. And they go, you're confirmed. Good job.
Okay.
So I think I probably got a Bible when I did that.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, like, I've never been religious.
No, same.
Like, I went to church and I went to Sunday school, but I don't think I ever particularly sat there and was like, oh, I 100% believe this. I've never gone like, oh yeah, Jesus is super cool and I accept him.
So how did you feel about the portrayal of religion in this book?
Well, that's what I mean. So it's hard for me to relate to his religious upbringing because he's very clearly from an evangelical family.
Yeah.
And that sort of, the idea of that, like...
But do you think, right, because obviously with a better understanding of religion than what I have, do you think it's almost like an unfair, like, it's been quite negatively portrayed? Or do you think it's maybe accurate? Like...
Well, no, from what I can tell, from what
Yeah.
I've seen in the world, that seems some of it seems accurate to the evangelical lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole preaching about hell and the way that works and then being like, oh, and heaven's this amazing place and everything's going to be beautiful there, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, from what I can tell, that seems pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But again, for me, it was like, I didn't have... Protestants don't particularly do the whole, like, you're going to burn in hell if you ever sin.
Okay.
Because that's so there's... Like, Christianity is a widespread religion, Liam, with lots of different beliefs.
Yeah, like you've got the ones that think it's only 6,000 years, isn't it?
Yeah, which is what they say in this book.
Yeah.
Says.
Yeah.
So that's the evangelicals, who are the, like, hardcore religious people.
Yeah.
Or tend to be,
Yeah, you get different, like, tiers almost.
Yeah, kind of. And Protestants, I think, would be a fairly low tier.
So, like, the Westboro Baptist Church, is that, like, a Christian thing?
Yeah. They're Christian, but they're, like, an extremist.
Super hardcore, like, ridiculous, like,
the word of the
awful.
Bible is law.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were, like... But, okay, so for, like, bits that I could sort of... With the way I was brought up and this graphic novel...
Yeah.
Like, the bit that did resonate with me, so the upbringing didn't really because it was different.
Yeah.
But the bit where he is specifically questioning, like, I know that by the end he hasn't, you know, by the end of the book, he's like, oh, I'm not a Christian.
Yeah.
But there's a moment in it where he has this, like, realization where he's like, well, what they're telling me doesn't sound right. Almost like he's like,
yeah.
He learns that the Bible, I can't remember what it is.
He starts seeing, like, contradictions.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this panel's really, like, this section's really dark, and then someone else has written another bit after that makes it sort of lighter.
Yeah, like a different interpretation because the language is so old.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, there's evidence that this was written after the person that they're saying wrote it all.
Yeah.
So how does that make sense? And then his pastor's like, whoa, it's all the word of God. It just evolves over time. And then he has this moment of like, oh, well, if that can happen, why am I listening to this book, sort of thing?
Yeah.
And that resonated with me because there were, like, again, I was never super Christian, but there was, like, a specific time where me and a friend sat down and read Revelations, which is the last book in the Bible, Liam.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun time to spend with your friends.
That is the one. So we went on the BB summer camp when we were kids.
Yeah.
And we sat down and read it but not in like we're going to read this, we're good religious boys. We did it in like I want to read the cool book because Revelation is the book where the world ends. And it's the one with like fucking Satan turns up and a beast appears and like fucks up the world.
Yeah, no, I think everyone knew when you said Revelations that everyone was thinking, yeah, that's the cool book.
I mean, seriously, if any Christian out there will tell you Revelations is the only exciting book in the Bible.
Okay.
Like, in all seriousness, having the devil rock up and take over the world, and then, admittedly, you know, the 4 horsemen rock up at one point.
Yeah.
On their mad, badass horses. It's the only good thing in the Bible. And then it's good because it's a story. And, like, you know, when you sit down and read that, you're like, oh, okay, this doesn't make sense. I'm not going to follow this book because this is insane.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, I had that sort of moment as well. And there was a period of time where I did the same thing as him, where I was like, oh, well, I'm not Christian in that I don't believe the word of the Bible, but maybe Jesus and God are real.
Yeah.
And then now I've evolved into agnostic, which is I don't know. There's not enough fucking evidence for anything, so I'm just not going to, you know, if it turns out there is a God at the end of it, sure, go for it, but I don't think there is one.
Well, like I've not too long ago, I was watching, I think it was maybe Ricky Gervais, I can't remember who he was talking to, but he was making an interesting point where he's saying like everyone's agnostic because no one actually knows. Like you can believe and you can make the conscious choice to believe, but no one actually knows like with certainty.
Yeah, but then also, I mean, that's not quite what agnostic means though, is it? Because a Christian is someone that believes in Christianity. Yeah. And even though they haven't got the evidence for it, they still believe it. Yeah,
but an agnostic is basically someone that's going like, I don't know. Whereas then you take it like a step further and you're like, I choose not to believe by going atheist.
Yeah, and I think certain atheists have given atheism a bad name.
Yeah.
Because there's the kind of people that, you know, like to me, if you're practicing religion and it doesn't hurt anyone else and that's just what you believe, fucking go for it. Because why does it matter to me if you believe in God? I don't care. So long as you're not actively trying to preach hate or anything, which some people do.
I'm kind of jealous of people that believe in religion.
I think you've said that before, and I think you might have said it on the podcast.
Yeah, it's possible.
But yeah, is it because I think you said you like that you don't like the idea of there being nothing when you die?
Yeah. And also, I feel like those big questions, like where do we come from and all that sort of stuff, I imagine it must be comforting to have an answer. Where do we come from? Why are we here? Those sort of big questions that don't really have answers. Or like there's theories around it. It must be, I imagine, quite nice to be like, well, I'm satisfied with that as an answer, you know?
Yeah, but it's so much more exciting to think about the scientific way of it.
Oh, it is, but it's also incredibly terrifying.
Oh, it's not, though. It's not.
It is.
You came from nothing, and you go back to nothing, and that's fine.
That's just depressing.
It's not depressing.
What's the point?
It's beautiful.
Because
you're part of this amazing site. I
won't remember it. Doesn't matter.
But it's not about remembering it.
But no one will remember any of it, so none of it matters.
Yeah, but that's not right. That's not the way. That's
ridiculous.
Not the scientific way. So you're not doing it the right way. That's what I mean. That's the thing. You take it too
What
far
do
and
you
go
mean?
the other way. Science,
What?
right. Liam, now if you go to it and talk to a scientist who's like trying to figure out where stars came from, right?
Yeah.
What you often don't find them doing is sitting there, staring at a piece of blank paper going, none of it matters anyway, so I'm not going to do this. So you take it too far the other way, which is you just go, it's not worth it, I don't know why they're trying.
Yeah.
Whereas scientists, the whole point is you're trying to solve these mysteries and these amazing questions.
But ultimately, it's not going to stop the sun from inevitably exploding or whatever.
No, it might not, or it might. You don't know how far science will eventually get.
Well, I won't, and I won't be around to find out, so what's the point?
Yeah, but that's a stupid way of looking at it, and you know it is, and you also don't think that way, and I know you don't, and there's evidence for that. And do you want to know what that evidence is, Liam?
Yeah.
You're still fucking here. So...
Yeah, but that could just be
If you
cowardice.
genuinely believed that there was no point in all of it, you wouldn't be around.
But that could just be like cowardice.
No, I don't think it is. I think that I think you over-exaggerate your opinion on the matter.
Potentially.
Yes.
No, it's not even over-exaggerating. I'm saying that is the aspect of it that is scary. Like, if you go down that rabbit hole of thought process, where that ends up taking you is scary.
But, I don't know. It doesn't, though.
It does, it's terrifying.
I think about that, and that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, but you don't have a brain as... Well, I'm not... It is as weird as mine.
Yeah, no, it is.
Just
I think
in
they're
a
weird in
different
different
way.
ways. Yeah. I don't know, I think it's fascinating. I love it. But anyway, we should go back to this graphic novel.
I like the Buddha. I remember really liking him when I learned about religious stuff at school.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. But then, like, so the idea of what Craig says in this, where he's talking about, like, oh, yeah, but I sort of believe in Jesus, right?
Yeah.
But not necessarily the Bible. Like, I think that is also a good thing. Like, a good way of thinking. Like, that's similar to Buddha. Like,
I
don't know. I'm not going to let other people tell me what to think. It's my own personal religion. Do you know what I mean? Because I think he says that at one point, like a personal. Oh fuck! What is it? He says something about a personal Jesus or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's the way people should treat it. Like, it's not. Don't listen to what some dude who rewrote some ancient fucking tome is telling you. That's insane.
Like, so, okay, this is a genuine question, and you're probably not going to take it as one because I know you. But is it possible that the Bible was created to be like a work of entertainment that over time that has somehow morphed into like what we know as religion? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like
I don't think so. But the reason I don't think so is I think there's evidence from around that time. You know, it wasn't like if someone were to look back at our time period and see Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
There's evidence that it wasn't a belief, that it was a story, right? So the thing I think has happened is back in those days, there was maybe a dude called Jesus, but after that, there was a group of people who were like, this is the religion we believe in. There was a guy that told stories.
Yeah.
That's what some of the Bible is. Even in the Bible, it said this is a story. Like I think they're called the Psalms, and like the story of the Good Samaritan and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff is stories that had a message. And
But I
think
guess
that's what the Bible is someone wrote a series of stories to teach people a lesson, but not in like this is a fantasy. He was doing it in or they were doing it in here's a series of messages. It's just difficult to convince people to believe those messages without the extra element of and God told him to do it. Do you know what I mean?
But I guess because it was so long ago, right? Like to me, I imagine there was some like massive catastrophic breakdown in technology or whatever, right? And the only way to communicate with people was via like speaking to them and writing, and you couldn't necessarily like easily traverse to different countries and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
If you were like that for like decades and decades and decades, surely over time these stories would morph and warp, and you could end up with like new religions springing up and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And the Bible has done that. Like, that's why there are so many different sects of Christianity. I mean, like, just even at the most basic level, like, Christianity is the name of the religion, but the first breakdown you get in that is Catholics and Protestants.
Yeah.
So, like, and that's huge. That's this huge divide in that one side, have the Pope. Protestants don't give a shit about the Pope. He's not important to them because he's not part of their religion. So that's a divide at the top level of Christianity. And then, Muslims have that as well.
Wait. Because I don't really know a lot about this divide, okay? So do they both read from, like, the same Bible, essentially, yeah?
Effectively, yes.
But they just have, like, different takes on it.
Yeah. And it's totally different. Like, from what I understand, and I'm not a Catholic, so if I get any of this wrong and any Catholics
A
listening,
lot
I
of Catholic
apologise.
guilt.
There's a big theme of guilt in it. There's also a lot more focus on the Virgin Mary, so Jesus' mum, which Protestants, she's important, but she's not a focus of worship or anything.
Yeah.
So it's like this huge... That is different. Catholics tend to have a lot more ostentation or decoration in their churches, their cathedrals and stuff.
And Catholics have
gold.
forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, that whole thing.
Yeah, yes.
Confession.
Exactly. I mean, there are prayers in Protestant Christianity that are like that.
No, but I mean, they have like those confession things that they go to.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Protestants don't have confession that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so even at a basic level, this whole thing is split on what they believe.
And I
that,
think
to me, is a
Catholics
bad
are
sign.
more involved in exorcisms and stuff.
Well, yes. I think they don't really do exorcisms that much anymore. I think they still have exorcists, but it's a very minor part, and they try and keep it a little bit under wraps.
Well, you would, right?
Yeah, because it's insane.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how did the title Blankets make you feel?
Initially, I was confused as to what it meant,
Yeah.
but after reading it, I'm like, oh man, that means so much on so many different levels.
What levels does it mean? Stuff on?
So you got the quilt that Raina knits for him.
Yeah.
So that's a blanket.
That's a big
There's the blanket that him and his brother share on their bed,
one. Yeah.
which is also a fairly important one because it's got a lot of, when it's hot, they argue
Yeah.
about who's using, or no, when it's cold, they argue about who's using too much and all that stuff, and they
Yeah.
use the blankets to make their make-believe. Then there's blankets of snow, Liam,
Yeah.
which have happened a few times in the graphic novel, and there's probably some other ones.
Okay.
Did you notice any more?
No, I didn't. To be honest, I'm quite impressed with the snow one.
I literally thought of it as you said the word name blankets. I went, oh yeah, the snow, blankets of snow.
Yeah, that was quite good, Jack.
Thank you.
Probably like, I don't know, was there not a dinner table with a blanket on it at some point?
I don't think you put a blanket on a dinner table. You put a tablecloth on a table, Liam.
Whatever. What
You're so fancy, mate.
picnics? Were there any picnics? It sounded like I didn't read this, but I did.
It's starting to. I'm starting to be a little bit suspicious.
Yeah.
I don't know. So okay, wait, let me ask you something, right? I know you weren't religious and you don't have brothers or sisters, right?
Yeah.
But how did you connect with his story? Like, did it still resonate with you in ways, or?
In ways, the ostracization part of it, to a degree, I was never like quite as like picked on as he was, but I could relate to being like in the outcasts.
Yeah, got you.
And that, when I really started kicking into it was that first love, that like the long distance thing. I can relate to that bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I hadn't even thought of that for you.
Yeah, then like actually going and spending like, say, a set amount of time with someone, knowing that you have that
end.
like having to go back to your life afterwards.
Yeah.
I thought that whole element was really well captured, and also like her view on it, where she was like, I don't want to become too attached because you're just going to end up leaving.
Yeah.
That I've been through. Also that like when he's just sleeping with her and she's got her tits out.
Oh yeah, did that resonate with you?
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I couldn't pay to get Kat to put a top on sometimes.
Jesus.
What?
Whatever, Liam. Yeah. So that so there were bits you connected with in a.
Yeah, like
way to me. I think that's
I've
good.
never had like anyone wee on me.
No, I think that's unusual.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Not having a brother, I kind of did. The way it was portrayed in this did to me make it seem like, oh, that was just a thing that maybe brothers do.
No, yeah, and the way because you sent me an interview with him that
Yeah.
someone had done,
Yeah.
and he is very much like, oh no, that was just us messing around. Like it's not got a deeper meaning to him or anything.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think it's that weird. And I was like, oh no, I think that's definitely weird.
Yeah. Also, okay. I want you to watch or read Perks of Being a Wallflower. So I don't want to go to spoilers or whatever, but reading this, there are definitely elements that reminded me of that book and film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that ostracization, that finding your group of misfits, and there's some other stuff as well.
Okay, I'll give it a watch.
Yeah, if you could do that soon, while this is still fresh in your mind,
I'll try.
I think you could be smart and make the connections yourself.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, and I found the relationship between him and his brother Phil quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's done in a really interesting way. Like you see, like so I think this sort of ties into like the only other point I've really got about this,
Okay.
which is about how it's interesting reading something like this that's autobiographical, because instead of falling into any of the like tropes that we all know from like, you know, reading fiction and watching fictitious shows,
Yeah.
when you're seeing something that's telling a real life story, it doesn't automatically do that. So like there was a moment where I was like, oh, is he going to end up with Raina at the end of this?
Oh yeah,
And
but
then
no.
and then when he doesn't, you're like, oh yeah, because this is real life, and that's not how real life works. Like you don't, you know, this girl that he met for 2 weeks, you know, she's important to him, but obviously it's not going to end with him being like, and then we got married. We resolved all the problems and married each other.
Yeah.
So I think his relationship with his brother, because that feels so real, where it's like they're sort of close as kids, but he's kind of a dick, but also genuinely trying to look out for his brother and sort of blames himself for not being able to sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, and then that's you can see that sort of splits them off from each other a little bit. Like the whole middle of the book, Phil, his brother, isn't mentioned.
Well, no, but that is also when he's like away for 2 weeks.
No, but I mean, like, so even you're seeing him in like around that time, you're seeing him in high school, and then later on he explains that he's like, yeah, and when he's talking to Raina and he's like, she asks about his brother or whatever,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, I don't talk to him, like we live in the same house, but I don't see him.
Yeah.
And, like,
I
that
did
felt
quite like
really real to me.
Yeah, I liked how that was resolved as well, though.
Yes, that's the bit that I'm glad there was. Like, that's almost a story-like resolution, but
Yeah.
it's also real, which is nice.
Yeah.
The fact that him and his brother actually sort of reconcile, and sort of it seems like his brother's probably on a similar path to him in their religion. Like, maybe he's not as strict as their parents were, at least.
Yeah, although it did seem like his brother got married quite quickly, which is a very like.
But to a geologist who's doing science and like
That's true.
is talking to Craig about how the world is not 6,000 years old, and then some pastor guy's just like, the Bible says, and you're like, okay, well, I've got a feeling Phil's probably not going to end up being like
Super religious. Yeah.
I'm a fundamentalist.
Yeah. We haven't talked about the sexual abuse yet, and we gave a warning for it.
Yeah.
Um,
So there's early on there is a scene where Craig is talking about not being able to protect Phil.
Yeah.
And they show a scene where an older guy is it meant to be their babysitter?
Yes.
Yeah, because they mentioned, I thought that's what it was, but I couldn't 100% tell.
And I'm also not sure if how that babysitter is necessarily connected to the family, if it's like an uncle or something.
Yeah, because it didn't seem like he then got brought up later in anything.
It's the way they introduced this I found really odd, in that it didn't feel like there was a lot of attention made of this thing that clearly happened. And it just felt it almost felt like blink and you'll miss it kind of thing.
But that's so genuinely, I think that's part of the real life thing. Like
it's just
in
repressed.
a story, they would focus on that, but this guy has had that horrible thing happen to him, assumedly.
Yeah.
Him and his brother, and
do you think it's repressed?
No. So I think that there is an element to it when he's a kid and when he's a teenager of it being repressed.
Yeah.
But I feel like the fact that he's put it in the book, it means he's not repressing it, but it's his way of being like, I've dealt with this.
Okay.
Like, I've come to terms with it. It's in the book because it happened, and I'm not gonna hide it and say this didn't happen.
Yeah. But equally, it's not a big thing to sing and dance
I've dealt with it. Phil's maybe dealt with it. We don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I assume he probably has. But then, like, yeah, I feel like it would have been almost weird for him to focus on it because it is such a horrible, horrible thing to have happened to them.
Yeah, it's just. I think it's the way it's just thrown in so like matter of factly. It's almost like casually slipped in there is what I found quite odd, in that like it seems to come without much warning.
Yeah, but genuinely I think that is all from a place of like what
acceptance
I was saying.
Almost.
Yeah, because I feel like it's almost like you could picture. So if you imagine him sitting down telling this story, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine someone being like, I don't want to talk about this, but I think it's important for it to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw it out there and move on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that sort of feels real to me. Him being like, I wish I could have looked after Phil, because that's the bit that's important about that scene. Is him saying, I feel like I failed my brother, which clearly he didn't. Like, he's just a kid in those scenes, and this dude is some huge adult, and there's nothing he could have done.
But there's also other scenes that make that point as well.
Yeah, no, I know, but I feel like that's the bit that clearly means the most to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, because the stuff with his dad putting Phil in the cubby hole.
Yeah.
Like, that's horrible, and I was a bit like, oh god. Like, because he said his parents thought they looked a bit monstrous in it, and I can sort of see that, but I can also sort of see the, like, I don't think it's necessarily child abuse. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like, from the rest of it, it doesn't seem like his dad was, like, beating them a whole lot or anything.
No, but it does seem like...
It's definitely weird and not okay.
Yeah, it's a bit carry.
Yeah.
But there's no telekinesis in this.
Yeah, he did not get telekinesis. But so I can like, that also makes that point. But so that's just sort of all of those little things, and then the big thing of him and his brother get sexually abused, and he has that moment where his brother is just like innocently like, "Oh, I want to get told the joke too."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Craig
Oh, that
has
was
just been
really...
assaulted.
That was just like so sad, that bit.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that bit strikes more because I've got a younger brother and sister.
Yeah.
And like the idea, like, I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast. This sounds like I'm about to say I was abused. I was not.
We're about to get super serious.
No. There was just like, when my brother was younger, there was
Yeah.
this time that he came home from school crying because a bunch of kids on the way home had bullied him.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I'm like. I'm not a particularly violent person. Like, the idea of fighting anyone, I would lose immediately.
Yeah.
But like, that was one of the only times where, like, I can't remember, I had a friend round. It might have been Tom or LJ maybe.
Yeah.
And Harry came in and was like, "Oh, yeah, these kids were picking on me and they were calling me names or whatever." And I literally just got up and was like, "Right, where were they? I'm going to go find them and beat the shit out of them." And my mum was like, "What? No, sit down." What? And I was like, no, they, like, you can't, that's my brother. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And like, so that, to me, that whole element of your, like, there is an element of just, you want to protect your brother and sister. And I know you don't necessarily have that because you don't have the brother and sister.
Nah.
But like, so the whole idea of him sort of failing to do that, I can see why that's such a big deal to him.
Yeah.
And also then I can see why that then drives the wedge into their sort of relationship, where, because it's so easy for me to imagine that horrible thing happens.
And it's almost like he blames himself, even
yeah,
though...
so like, I imagine that Phil probably doesn't blame him. Like,
yeah.
I can, because the way they paint Phil is just this kid who's looking up to his older brother and just like wants to hang out with him and be his friend.
Yeah.
But
he like exiles himself, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, almost like separates himself because he's like, I failed you. And I think that made the whole, them reconciling it and becoming friends by the end, like, it made it more moving because it was like, you know, oh cool, I'm glad that Craig sort of got out of this bad place and dealt with it almost.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, no, like, I think those are all the things. Like, I genuinely loved this graphic novel. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I probably didn't like it as much as you, but I did still really enjoy it. Like, I was reading like a chapter a night, and then I basically just got into it, and I think I read like the last 4 or 5 chapters in one night.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah, it just. I really. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I think
what you're trying to say is thank you, Amanda, for making you read something that you were initially very dismissive and sniffy.
Yeah,
of.
no, Amanda, this was an amazing recommendation.
And maybe in future you will be less judgmental with things.
I'll be less judgmental of Amanda's suggestions, and I'm sorry for that, Amanda. I should have trusted you. I'm still going to judge Liam's ones.
Yeah, that's fine. Out of 5?
I want to give it like a 4.5, I think.
That's a high rating.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, I enjoyed it a lot, but I don't think I quite loved it as much as you did.
Yeah, that's fair.
Next time, Jack.
Which one are we doing? Is this
Should we do Amanda's first?
Yeah, sure.
Speaking of Amanda, who recommended blankets.
Yep.
Guess what?
She's coming on the next episode.
Yeah, we won't be speaking of her. We'll be speaking to her.
Very, very good, Liam.
She wants us to watch the Gilmore Girls. Or just Gilmore Girls, is it? I don't know. Season 1.
I've seen episodes of Gilmore Girls and love
Same.
it, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've like caught the odd episode here and there on TV.
Yes.
I've never sat down and watched it properly.
Yeah,
I know
I'm exactly the same.
It's like right up my street, like coming of age, mother-daughter relationships. You know, so much relate there.
Yeah, you and your mum.
Yeah. I'm her little girl. So yeah,
Yep.
I watched the first episode tonight, and I'm really excited to watch the next 20.
Cool.
Because normally we only do like maybe 3 or 6 episodes, but Amanda very nicely asked us to do the entire season, and she gave us...
This is our first full season for a culture swap.
Well, she asked us to do this like 3 weeks ago, and I was like, "Well, you've given us enough notice, so
we can't say no." But
no.
then both of us have only just I've not started yet. I'm starting maybe tonight.
Yeah, so that was to be expected. I would have started sooner, but honestly, I wanted to get through Friends from College first, and I had to force myself on Sunday to watch the last 3 episodes.
Fair enough.
So that was a fun Sunday. So yeah, that's happening next time. If you have seen Gilmore Girls, you can get involved, get in touch. You can tweet us
At
Nerd on Nerd.
What if they want to email us, Liam?
Then they should just send us an email.
What address do they email it to, though?
nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com.
What if they use Facebook and that's like their primary form of communication?
I guess they could Facebook us.
And that would be facebook.com/nerdonnerdpod, all one word?
Yeah.
What if they want to go on our YouTube? Does our YouTube... Let me ask you this, Liam. Does our YouTube exist?
Yeah.
It exists.
It exists. Look,
It's just in a crippled state.
It's under maintenance. Basically, here's the situation. Jack was meant to come next weekend to get a load of video footage filmed so we could start uploading our old episodes again without any fear of copyright. And now he's got involved in this silly car crash and
So
his
we're delaying
car is
that.
out of action.
Yeah.
So basically, Jack has ruined the YouTube channel.
There you go.
They could-
rate us on iTunes.
Yeah, they could leave a rating like Lee did. Why not do a 5-star rating like Lee did? And why not leave a nice comment like Lee did?
I imagine that you guys would feel the coolest if you were like, oh man, I did the same thing as Lee,
Here's
who's
the
a
thing.
legend.
This apparently really helps us out, okay? Now, we don't ask for a lot in return. Maybe this would be a nice way of giving us something back after we've provided you with 4 days worth, apparently, of entertainment.
I don't want you to feel like you're being blackmailed, listeners, because I'm scared you'll leave if we do that.
No, this isn't blackmail. We're not saying we're going to stop if you don't. We're just saying, you know what I'm like. I'll keep mentioning it until someone else does it.
Yeah, that's true. He will do that.
So, it's not hard. If Lee could figure it out.
Wow. Jesus.
Bye.
Just throw some insults. What was that?
Bye.
No, ask me if I've got any final thoughts.
Have you got any
really
final
good
thoughts?
Yeah, I do, Liam. It's a really good one. You're going to really like it. The last time I asked you, the total count was 1,120, Liam. You had a change of -3. Liam, what's the new number? You thought I'd forgotten.
Well, there's a difference between thinking and hoping.
Is it bad? Have you had any... I mean, this is after you've now tried to cut out some of the purchasing.
I've stopped, pretty much.
So, the number's gone down?
What was it before? Remind me?
1,120.
Yeah, it's down to 1,116.
That's change of 4. That's good.
I haven't been watching a lot of films lately either, so that is actually really good.
Yeah.
I've started watching films on Netflix and stuff, which is obviously, not helping me reduce my number.
No, but it's also not adding to it, so...
Yeah, exactly.
That's a positive. There you go. Look at that, buddy.
Oh yeah, I'm making progress.
You are.
Like, not necessarily with my goals or anything, just as a person.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.